Hi, Elena. Let's take a look at this new set of essays. We've got the movie preference chart. Okay, let's see what you said here. The bar chart shows which kind of films are favorited by young adults all around the word, making a parent comparison between male and female. Okay, this needs to be a little different. You need to change around the grammar quite a bit. So, first of all, it should be the bar chart shows which films are preferred by young adults all around the world. And then if you want to say, you could have said this, you could have said for both males and females. That would have been a cleaner, more accurate way of saying this idea, okay? All right, so moving on. Firstly, we can see from the chart that the comedies, all right, you don't need the here. So, firstly, we can see from the chart that comedies are the most popular for both male and female. You need to either say females and with an S at the end, or you could have said male and female viewers. That would have been good. With 145 and 137 respectively. Whereas for males, S, this is also a wrong expression here, are the romantic films with 31, and for female, they are the animation one with only 54. Okay, so I see what you're trying to do. I think you're trying to show us which one is the top for both genders and which one is the lowest. That's not a bad idea to do it like this. But I do want to just clean up some of the accuracy, some of the language here so that it is more accurate. So let's try that again. All right, whereas for males, the least popular are romantic films with 31, and for females, this is animation with only 54 spectators. That would have been a more accurate way of doing this. Secondly, action films are the second most popular for males, S, with 137. We don't call them watchers, we call them viewers, followed by horror films, which are preferred by a half of them. Okay, here you want to use at. At is a good idea to refer to this number. So at around 73. Then the animation films and drama. Why don't you do this? Then animation and drama films. So this way the films goes to both words. Are twice as popular compared to romantic films, and they are chosen by 63 young adults, respectively. Okay, I think I understand that. You're talking about men. Got it. Okay. So, finally, females, S, definitely like, after comedy, romantic films, which are watched by 116 of them. Drama and action films are favorited by around 86 and 82 of the females, comma, followed by horror and animation films with 64 and 54 spectators, respectively. Fine. Overall, young adults have different preferences as far as films are concerned here, grammar, and it depends on their gender. Generally, both like comedy, but while males, S, prefer action films, females, S, prefer romantic. You don't need to say it. You could have just said prefer romantic, and then we understand that you mean films. All right, so this is okay, Elena. The language was a problem. I mean, grammatically there were some issues. You also had some wrong word choices, so it was okay. I mean, you did it successfully, but it was kind of flawed in as far as language is concerned. So yes, of course, grammar and of course vocabulary. You covered everything, so you covered all the main points. So I guess as far as task achievement is concerned, it's fine. Although I can't say that I totally understood your organization, because look what you did. So you started out talking about men and women, then you started talking about men, and then so I don't know if this really made sense. You've got a paragraph talking about both, and then you've got one paragraph just for men, and then one paragraph just for women, and then you've got your overview. So to me, it would have made more sense if you had just had a paragraph for men, a paragraph for women without this paragraph. I understand why you did it. You were, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to go about this. Like I said, I think just incorporating the information in this paragraph into the paragraph for men and the paragraph for women probably would have been a better choice. All right, so like I said, I want you to work on some of your accuracy with grammar and with vocabulary. And let's take a look here at the one about domestic and international travel, the benefits and the disadvantages. Let's see what you said. Nowadays, visiting new places is easier than in the past. There are more possibilities to travel all around the world. You keep doing this, you got to be careful because word and world are two totally different words. So be careful, it changes the meaning of what you're writing. So there are more possibilities to travel all around the world, and it is not difficult as for our old relatives to organize a trip somewhere on the other part of the earth. Okay, so let's talk about the sentence a little bit. It is not as difficult as it was for our, you don't mean our old relatives, you mean the word ancestors to organize a trip somewhere on the other part of the earth. As far as I'm concerned, I think that we should be thankful for this opportunity without losing the importance of the little things. This essay will argue both the positive and negative aspects of the situation we are facing these days because there are different points of view. All right, this is pretty good. I liked here it was accurate, it read really easily, but there's one problem. They never asked you for your opinion. It's a discussion essay. They say discuss the advantages and disadvantages. So you don't need to write your opinion here and kind of consider it irrelevant. Essentially, you need to get rid of this middle sentence here that starts with as far as I'm concerned, and you should just stick with this one. This essay will argue both the positive and negative aspects, okay? So let's take a look at the body paragraphs. On the one hand, taking a plane and going to a new place you have never been to could have beneficial consequences in your life. The reason for this is twofold. Firstly, it is a great opportunity to, you don't do a new experience, you have a new experience, and to improve your knowledge about other cultures and other people. Secondly, only if you travel around the world with an L again can you realize, all right, careful there with that grammar. And then it's can you realize how lucky you are, and so you can start to appreciate your routine more without pretending too much. That's a double L. So basically, this sentence is really overly complicated. I understand what you're trying to say, but it isn't as fluid and fluent as it should be. I do want to look at it one more time and then maybe just suggest how you could have made it clearer, cleaner, and shorter. Because look at it. It's it's 4 lines long. Take a look here. Okay, so let's clean it up a bit. Hold on. Okay. Firstly, it is a great opportunity to have new experiences and improve your knowledge about other cultures and other cultures and people. Full stop. And I put a new sentence here. That's better. So, secondly, only if you travel around the world can you realize how lucky. Uh, well, usually the better word here is fortunate. How fortunate you are, so you can appreciate what you have more. I think this is what you're trying to say. So by exposing yourself to like other cultures and maybe people who are less fortunate, that's how we realize how fortunate we are. I think this is really what you're trying to say. Okay. All right. For example, from my personal experience, whenever I come back from a trip to a different city or country, I feel changed and more open minded. Not I feel myself. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that traveling helps us to be politer and nicer. Well, that's not really what you said. It's not that we become politer and nicer. It's actually that our perspective changes, our mindset changes. We kind of grow. So, this is really the language that you want to be using. And this is what I mean when I say precise or imprecise language. You don't mean politer and nicer. You're just saying that you understand that you're very fortunate. You understand that there are people who are less fortunate than you. And so this doesn't necessarily make you politer and nicer, but it makes you more open minded and more accepting. So those would have been more precise words to express what you're trying to say here. All right, let's keep going. On the other hand, although there are positive aspects with an S here regarding travel, the negative impact that this activity can have in our life cannot be overstated. Good. This is largely because when we decide to go abroad, it means that we have to leave a piece of our daily life at home, and it can produce more stress for us. For example, a recent empirical study from Oxford University shows that more than 50% of people who travel around the world more than once a month have a higher level of stress compared to people who stay at home with their normal life. Thus, it's possible to stay behind, not behind, but beyond a doubt that, and you don't mean this, that too much travel makes people more nervous and anxious. Okay. I don't think this is really the direction that they were going in when they wanted the negatives of travel, because what you're really talking about here is not the negatives of travel, but the negatives of excess travel, and that it can make you stressful. So that's not entirely what you needed to be focusing on. But I know that a lot of people are like, well, Ellen, what are the negatives of travel? Are there any? Um, a lot of people would say that there are negatives of travel. So you could have talked about the negative impact on the environment. Think about jet fuels, cars, all these modes of transportation that are really harmful to our environment. Another thing you can think about is, what happens when tourism kind of takes over an area. I mean, think about places like Venice, or think about like Santorini and Mykonos that, have so many tourists that they've actually changed the landscape, and it's very difficult to live there. Okay. So if you're a person living in that area, it makes your daily life very difficult because it's, full of tourists, and that can sometimes be a challenge. Um, so the quality of life of the people who live there is reduced. And then sometimes, like I said, tourism changes the place. It's no longer why people started flocking there, and instead it's just become like a tourist attraction. And so that can kind of reduce the character and the beauty of some places. So those are some things you could have talked about for the negatives. All right, let's look at the conclusion. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that traveling is the only thing you buy that makes you richer, and a real explanation of this is represented by the fact that when you come back from a journey, you have less money than when you leave, but you have more knowledge and experiences in your mind. Of course, it is better not to exaggerate with this. Okay. Fine. I didn't really like this last sentence. I think we don't really say it like this in English. I know what you're trying to say. It is best not to overdo it, but that's a little informal. You could have said, of course, this should be done in moderation. That would have been a great way to say this, okay? This should be done in moderation. All right, so Elena, it's a good attempt. It's nice. I mean, yeah, there were some errors, there were some flaws, there were some grammatical and lexical things. And of course, like I said, you weren't really supposed to give us your opinion in the beginning. But it's a nice attempt, okay? So keep at it. I know you've got more essays with us. Yeah, I'll be waiting for them, okay? So keep at it and good luck.